Then some people came, bringing to him a paralyzed man, carried by 4 of them. And when they could not bring him to Jesus because of the crowd, they removed the roof above him, and after having dug through it, they let down the mat on which the paralytic lay. Syntax means something. Today, I want to teach from this subject. Radical or relevant, part 1. Radical and relevant, radical and relevant. Radical and relevant. Help us, Holy Ghost. You may be seated. Radical and relevant, part 1. My brothers and sisters, in the 1950s, a psychiatrist by the name of Albert Ellis championed what is called cognitive behavioral therapy. What is it called? Cognitive behavioral therapy. It is that Ellis believed that most people were unaware of how their irrational thoughts about themselves, get this now, negatively affected the way they behaved. The irrational thoughts about themselves negatively affected the way they behave. What affected the way they behave? The irrational thoughts about themselves. People thinking irrationally, and as a consequence, they behave irrationally. Or they have negative behaviors that comes as a result of what they falsely perceived of their own self. Fast forward to now, modern therapists has escalated and advanced Ellis's work into something called rational emotive behavior therapy. Rational emotive behavioral therapy. If I was you, I'd be taking notes. Rational emotive behavioral therapy. And the idea with rational emotive behavioral therapy is that through a process of work of an individual, getting that individual to a place where negative thinking is replaced with positive thinking, whereby behavioral practices will follow in kind. Rational emotive behavior therapy is the process, and I know I sound a little heavy, but stay with me, of shifting negative thinking. I'm talking to some of y'all today because your thought processes are negative. And they are so negative that you've convinced yourself that they're positive. So to convince yourself that a negative thought is positive is negative within itself, because that's a negative way of thinking, because you're not interested in changing thought patterns. And so rational emotive behavior therapy says one must do the work, perhaps with the help of a therapist. One must do the work to get to a place where they replace negative thinking with positive thinking, because every thought that we issue in a negative manner, my brothers and sisters, if we don't address it, it will produce a negative result. Every thought is like a seed, and every seed has to be birthed. Every seed has to take form. Every seed has to come out in some type of way. And we are birthing literally negative things and are participating in negative behaviors because the seed we have placed in our mind. And so our mind has to be transformed. It's kind of what Paul was getting at when he said, don't be conformed to this world, but be ye transformed, not by the renewing of your actions, but the renewing of your mind. The renewing of your mind, which means, renew means to make new again and to make new again, which means my mind can be new this week, but on next week can be old and stale. Come on. See, the problem is we don't tend to the mind enough, and because we have one celebrated victory, the enemy is lurking in the wings till we come off that high so the enemy can destroy us, because we don't understand the worst thing that can go is your mind. And so rational emotive behavior therapy suggests that if my behavior is going to change, behavior is the systematic approach on the way I handle myself. Things that I do, my behavioral practices, the way I wake up in the morning. Do I hit the alarm clock 10 times before I get up, or do I get up at the first alarm? Do I disregard the snooze button and do I just get up? Do I eat breakfast, the most important meal of the day, or do I wait till lunch and dinner to pig out? Do I, my brothers and sisters, need some kind of medicine to keep me focused? And by medicine, I'm not talking about no prescribed pills from a therapist. I'm talking about cognac, oxy, Jack, vodka, sex, pornography. What do I need to keep me focused? Because if what I'm trying to get at to keep me focused does not line up with the tools I need to grow, then I don't need it at all. See, the enemy has tricked us to believe that we need it because our thought process said that we need it. And so you're not often who you think you are, but because you think you're that person, that's who you become. I like the sound here. It sounds like a classroom. And so this rational, emotive behavioral therapy deals with our thoughts so that our thoughts can change our behaviors. And it is in the tenor of our text, my brothers and sisters, that converges well with the tenor of this idea of rational, emotive behavior therapy. Because one of the aims of my series is, how can we transform into a radical being? That's an aim. You might want to write it down. How can we transform or transition into a radical being? How can I move from the place I am now to a person who is radical? See, we have often equated radicalness with sloppiness all over the place. That's not really the concept and the tenor of what I'm trying to get at radical. Here's what I believe. Here's what I believe. I believe that we can become a radical being if we look at it from a behavioral perspective. To be radical is a behavioral practice. In other words, it's a behavior. Most behaviors are learned. You don't just grow up to be the person you are. You have learned that. Somebody has modeled that, or somebody has mimicked that before you. The other day I was at the park, and this little Caucasian baby, young baby, still was 3, but he was still in Pampers, so that was the problem first and foremost. And he kept flicking me off like this with his mom, little Caucasian man. And he wasn't really Caucasian. I think he was, kind of Mexican, but they was They thought they was Caucasian, so kept flicking me off. And so I was trying to get his attention so I could flick him back off. I was trying my best to flick that baby off. I ain't lying. Flicking me off, I'm flick your back off, boy. Oh, y'all thought I was going to say something spiritual, didn't you? But then it hit me. This baby didn't come out the womb flicking people off. Or people who look like me off. Somebody mimicked that type of behavior because he was doing it so frequently and so vindictively. And so behavior is learned. And so to be radical has to be learned. To be radical has to be what? I'm moving slow because I want y'all to get it. I've preached, man. I looked at my sermon book and my computer. I done preached thousands of sermons. People have told me, man, you did well. I don't need accolades about preaching no more. I don't need a high five, preach, doc, say it, Rev, do it, doc. You pulled it, man. He tore the church up. Because at the end of the day, if you cannot remember and engage in what I've taught, then both of us have wasted our time. Come on. If you're not putting the word into practice, then every sermon I've preached to you has just been me wasting our time. And so today, my brothers and sisters, what I want us to do is to get to a place where we are engaging what I'm teaching. Put the definition of radicalism up. Thank you. Let's read it together. Radicalism is a change in action where I refuse to allow the temptation of comfortability to prevent me from experiencing my life at its fullest potential. Come on, class, we got to read. I was teaching some eighth graders out there. I said, you got to read. Reading is fundamental. I ain't going to read to you. You got to read to me. Let's read. Radicalism is a change in action where I refuse to allow the temptation of comfortability to prevent me from experiencing my life at its fullest potential. Read it again. Radicalism is a change in action where I refuse to allow the temptation of comfortability to prevent me from experiencing my life. Now, we read it audibly, we articulated it verbally, but now it's something called reading comprehension. Because many of us reading it because I told you, but was you absorbing what it says? Can you, if I take it off the screen right now and had you stand up like this was a class, would you be able to articulate what I just said? Now this time read it and try to understand what I'm saying. Here we go. Radicalism is a change in action where I refuse to allow the temptation of comfortability to prevent me from experiencing my life at its fullest potential. What's your key word that you pulled out of this? Everybody, when you're trying to comprehend something, pull out key words. Change, action, comfortability. It's a change in action. So if I'm going to become radical, then I must change my action. What action am I changing? The action of being comfortable. Many of us are too comfortable. See, when we want to accomplish certain stuff lives in the land of uncomfortability. Certain stuff lives in the land that's outside of your little box. You've drawn a little circle. I think, my brothers and sisters, one of the most problematic thing about Midwesterners or St. Louisans is they only see this little bitty tiny city and don't realize life outside of this city. You think the Metrolink is the stuff. Whoa! You think because you've been a Busch Stadium to see a Cardinals game, you have lived life. And that's why this city has a circle of killing each other, because it's so small that the mentality has grasped the city and the individuals are operating in small mentality, because I would argue that well over 50% of St. Louisans, probably way more than that, have not had the privilege of being on every coast or have traveled to foreign territory. How many foreign, and I'm not talking about Hawaii, that's not foreign. I've been to Hawaii. No, that ain't what I'm talking about. Because if we can get out of this mindset, then we can affect change in St. Louis. But we can't affect change in St. Louis with a St. Louis type of mindset. Because you cannot be both part of the problem and part of the solution. Y'all follow me? I hope I ain't boring y'all. So, I changed my actions from being comfortable. Why you ain't got no money? I mean, you told me in 2014 you was broke. That was 5 years ago. Why you still broke? Did they stop printing money? You told me in 2014, 2015 that your credit was bad. Why is your credit still bad? Woo, I love silence. Silence means I'm in the house, boy. I love this today. Yeah, Jesus. You got that couch from Rent-A-Center or Rent-To-Own or American Family, all these rental places. You was doing that in the 80s and 90s and early 2000s, and you still going to Rent-A-Center? You still making a weekly payment on a couch? Oh, I'm in this house today. I'm in this house. You was buying folks food stamps when they was actually stamps and not on a blue card. I mean, you remember the dollar stamp? You had to. I think it was half for a book. You whatever the stamp was. You was doing that in the 90s, and you still buying folks stamp in 2019. You was putting bills in your kids' names. Or somebody mama put they bill in your name. I'm so glad my mama didn't do that. Lord, I'm so glad my mama didn't do that. Putting bills. And it would be easy for me to do it because my son and I got the same name. So before he can get grown or get in life, I done already jacked up his credit. Because in fact, my mama was so concerned about my credit that gave me a credit card at 17. And you know at 17, I'm spending that sucker. I don't care what nobody say. I mean, I'm buying pizza. They just sent it to me. I don't know why you don't send me no credit card. Not me. Not in high school you don't. I mean, I was swiping pizza, chicken. You know you don't supposed to put no chicken on credit. I'm paying high interest on a piece of Kentucky Fried Chicken. By the time I didn't pay them no bills. I mean, I didn't pay them. I never paid. I just was swiping that sucker. Credit was shot by the time I was 18. We was able to get that off the record because they gave me the credit card too early. But what I'm trying to say is those principles in life that you learn early. But our behavior has to change. I may not even finish this part. I may have to deal with the rest of this next week, but I'm going to just teach how God tell me to teach today. Ain't no rushing this. Why are we still going to check cash in places? I got to run my check up to the check cash in place. Wait a minute. Hey, can I get a ride to the check cash in place? I give you $5 on gas now. You can't even get 2 gallons of gas for $5, but people still trying to offer $5 on gas. But I give you $5 on gas. So you're going to pay $5 for gas. You're going to pay whatever that check cash fee, probably $5 now. I don't know, $2, $3, $5, whatever it is. So you already took $7 out your $300 check, or $400 check, or $500, $600, $700. I'm just going out the ties of this church, so I just say if it's 10,000, then I don't know. But anyway, I got to make y'all laugh at some time. 2 people that keep me in line is my mom and Dr. Johnson. Dr. Johnson gave me a look. Let me move on. But the point I'm trying to say is, don't be going to the check cash in place. Another thing you don't do. Why are we paying ATM fees? Why are we paying $3 to get our money? Here's another one. Why do we take out something to cook at night, take out something in the morning so we can cook it when we get home, but on the way home we say we're too tired, so we stop and go get some fast food? I'm in this house today. Yeah, I'm in this house. So wait a minute. You done took out the chicken. I mean, that bird's ready and ripe. And you talk about you too tired, which means you too lazy. And so now you spent money on the bird that you didn't cook and more money on the bird that somebody else cooked. So that's a double negative. And then the health consequences from eating a greasy bird from the fast food restaurant. So there's a trifecta of poor decision making you've made under one setting. And then we take it out and then let it get spoiled. Ooh, it's something stinking here. It's that chicken that you didn't cook 3 days ago. And then we keep trying to act like, is it spoiled? Is it spoiled? If you can smell it, it's spoiled. And then you go try to cook. They won't notice. I'll put a little buttermilk on it. And then you wonder why you got salmonella and food poisoning and all this because you feeding them bad chicken. That's why I'm in the season of my life. I don't eat at nobody's house no more. I don't care who you are. Well, I ain't going to say that. I eat at some people close, but it's very, let me change. I would eat at somebody else. But, it's very few. People talk, Pastor funny acting. Yeah, Pastor is. Because my radical behavior makes me change what has been comfortable for me. It's comfortable just to drive by and not cook the chicken and go buy the chicken. It's comfortable to continue the not having a checking account. It's comfortable with making poor decisions. But what happens is when you have to build tension on yourself and stretch yourself and push yourself that you may be elastic enough to expand to your greatness, sometimes that hurt in the beginning. But if you keep pushing and if you keep working on it, you'll get to the place where you no longer be basic, you'll be radical. Yes, sir. I'm trying to get us from being basic individuals. I'm trying to get us from being ordinary individuals into extraordinary individuals, to radical individuals, to people who are willing to change their action. Why? So you can live your life to its fullest potential. I would argue that many people in this room and are watching me live stream are only living life 20% of your potential. And you're surviving off 20%. Ain't God so good? I said it right. Ain't he so good? That he allows you to survive off 20% of your potential and you still here. Just think if you move to 40 or 60 to 80, the stuff that you can do. But you have to change your mind so that your behaviors can change. And if that happens, my brother and sister, you'll be a radical individual. And so we have our text. Y'all say he just getting to the text? Yes, I am. We have our text with 5 individuals who were willing to become uncomfortable, who were willing to become radical, who were willing to not be normative. And in our text, these 5 individuals had a goal, and the goal was to get to Jesus at all costs. Jesus was in a space. They came to see Jesus. Their goal was to get to Jesus at all costs. Now, how you going to get to Jesus? You got to be radical. Get this now. This is what I want you to write down. Let's move. Radical individuals have goals and will go after those goals at all costs. Okay, here it is. Here it is. You know how I know you're radical? You know how I know you're moving into being a radical person? That not only I set goals, but at all costs, within ethical bounds, I'm moving toward those goals. Look here, my brothers and sisters. Y'all can play if you want to. 2020 will be here before you know it. So you're going to come in 2019 broke, and you're going to come in 2020 even broker. You're going to come in 2019 with that no good mate. You're going to leave out of 2019 with that same no good mate, and then into 2020 with that same no good mate, because that's what's comfortable for you. This was the year that some of y'all were supposed to start your own business. You came in this year and said, oh yeah, I ain't working for the man no more. I'm still trying to figure out who the man is. Because if you're getting paid, you're working for yourself, but I'm still trying to figure out who the man is. You say, I ain't working for the man no more. This is my year. This is my moment. This is my season. This is my time. You know all that church stuff. This is my moment. This is my season. This is my time. God, great is he that's in me, that he's in the world. I'm the head, not the tail. I'm the first. I'm not the, you know all that stuff. I'm blessed in the city, blessed in the field, blessed when I come. I'm blessed. Hey, put your left foot in, do the hokey pokey. I got all this going. Everything about me is changing. Every weapon formed against me, no weapons formed against me shall prosper. That's how y'all be in the shower. Y'all know y'all be hooping in the shower. Oh! And every weapon formed against you is prospering. They shoot, poo, you poo, 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 poo. You like a target. Just because you say a thing don't mean a thing will come to pass. Just because you say a thing don't mean a thing will become a thing. A thing will become a thing when you make that thing become a thing. I'm in this house. This is going to be a lecture for somebody else because somebody don't want to hear this. A thing will become a thing when you make that thing a thing. Look at verse 3. Verse 3 suggests, look at the text. Come on, look at the text. Don't look at the text. The text suggests in verse 3 that 4 individuals came to him carrying a paralyzed man, him being Jesus. Now, how many men did I tell you were, yes, I did. How many men did I tell you that was daring to be radical? I said what? 5. The text says 4. How do I get 5? How do I get 5? Come on, this is a riddle. This is a riddle. How do I get 5? Thank you, Jasmine. There were 4 people carrying a man, but don't forget about the man who was paralyzed. See, the problem is we forget about people who are doing worse off than we are. And so we build this arrogant and selfish culture that we don't pay it forward and go back and get those who we left behind. These four brothers said, look here, man, I'm trying to get to Jesus. I see you need some help, so I'm going to help you get there. This man laying on a mat. They start carrying him. What was wrong with him? He was what? Paralyzed. He was what? Paralyzed. He needed to be carried because he was. What's a symptom of being paralyzed? A symptom of being paralyzed is the inability to move part or all of your body. Why? Because there's some type of nervous issue. So they had a goal, but he could not get to the goal because he could not move. How can I get somewhere when I have no mobility to get there? Oh, I'm teaching better than you responded. How can I get somewhere when I have no mobility? See, the reason why there's an emergency call to radicalness is because we've become figuratively paralyzed. We ain't like Cardi B. We ain't making no money moves. We ain't moving. We stagnant. You paralyzed in your pain. Paralyzed in your trauma. Paralyzed in depression. Paralyzed in poverty. Paralyzed in low spirituality. Paralyzed in bad situations. And the problem is, us being paralyzed is starting to feel normal. There's one thing to be paralyzed, but there's another thing to think that being paralyzed is normal. Even if it's someone medically paralyzed, that's still not normal to the body because the body was created to move. And so you were created to make moves. You were not created to be stagnant. You were not created to be concretized and stuck into one position, into one place. But you will be if there's no goal and there's no intentionality about moving to that goal and you refuse to become radical. This is your moment. No, this ain't, and I'm not saying this so you can jump and shout. I'm not going to say, this is your moment. This is your time. No, this is your time to reflect tonight. If this word, because I'm teaching it like I'm teaching it, this word should challenge you because God can heal any paralyzed spirit. God can heal any paralyzed mindset, church. God can heal any paralyzed person. God can even heal a person who's medically paralyzed. I've seen it before. Here's the problem with the church. We don't believe in miracles no more. There used to be a day when you go to churches and you see a jar, it sounds nasty, with the tumor in the jar. Crutches on the wall. And I ain't talking about somebody sprung their ankle. I'm talking about somebody who had no function in their leg. I'm not talking about Peter Popoff, and I don't care. I don't know if Peter Popoff listen to me now. I'm not talking about spring water, and they laying on the leg and saying, watch that leg grow, and you tap them, and the only thing they do is moving that leg down. No, I'm talking about some real miracles. What do we need in schools? We need a miracle. We need transformed systems. And stop getting mad at your kid's teacher when they make no more than $35,000 to $40,000 a year and spend 15 of that on your child because the school district did not provide them the resources to teach your child, and you mad at the teacher. It ain't the teacher, it's the system. And it's going to take some radical people to change systems. And radical behavior has to move past protest.
Thank you. Are you speaking my language?
It has to move past marching. Because after I march and after I protest, and I don't care who don't like it, if there's no program, if there's no systemic change, if there's no goal in mind to move us from the streets to a place where we can gain some sense, then all we did is had a nice exercise. I'm in this house today. All we did is did some cardio. All we did is did some strength training with our flags and saying, say it loud, I'm black and I'm proud. But the honest reality is, if you're really proud to be black, do something with yourself. Be better than your mama was. Be better than your daddy. Be better than your grandparents. Grow to a place where God has called you, but you cannot live being paralyzed. They carried him. He was connected to the right people. Because when you got the right friends, they will carry you for a while you're down without always looking to be carried. When you, brothers, when you got the right woman in your life, let me say this because I know sisters all, I know it's a equality system, but I'm going to say it. If I always got to take you out to dinner, I mean, you ain't never offered me a piece of chicken, cornbread. I mean, come on now. It's my birthday and I'm still paying for my dinner. Something wrong with that picture. Oh, the man's supposed to take. Yes, the man is supposed to be chivalrous. Yes, chivalrous. But love has to be, we just can't have this equal opportunity spirit. When it comes to making money, we got to have it when it comes to spending some too. By nature, I'm a spoiler. If you roll it with me, you're going to get whatever you want. I work 80 hours a week to give it to you. 80. But I'm going to need something in return. More than. Come on, Lord. I ain't got number 9 minutes. Y'all don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that to me. Don't do that to me, church. Well, my mind was like, what you talking about, Pastor? I need some return. I don't need you to return equally, but I need you to show me that you love me. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I support your vision to the end, but I need you to support mine too. But at the same token, a woman's job is not to pull a man up. The man already got to be up before they get with the woman. See, the problem is we want to treat women like they dump trucks and we just want to dump ourselves on them. We cannot be the garbage. We have to be the garbage collector. We have to remove the garbage out of life so the woman can feel comfortable with following us. We say that we're the leaders, but I believe that both parties can lead. Why, my brothers and sisters, am I following you and you ain't going nowhere? Oh, I'm in this house today. I'm in this house today. You are paralyzed. And the only thing I'm going to do for you, brother, right now is I'm going to pick you up on your mat and drop you off at Jesus. And I'm going to let Jesus save you. And if he saved you and I'm still around, then give me a call. But ain't no guarantee I'm going to still be around. You know what I mean? I ain't waiting on you to get yourself together. Man, I'm in this house today. Let's move to the next verse. Oh, yeah, I got 5 minutes. Let's move to the next verse. Verse 4, I'm teaching today. The Bible said they could not bring him to Jesus because of the crowd. What was the target? Jesus was the target? What was the goal, What was the goal? They were trying to get him to what? Jesus. But they could not get him to the goal because of the crowd. Here it is. Here it is. Dr. Johnson, 4 men with a paralyzed man thought just because they was paralyzed that people was going to move out the way. Let me tell you something. People don't care about you like you think they do. They'll tell you they do. See, this is what I used to do this, Deacon. When somebody called me, somebody died, I used to say, if there's anything I can do for you, let me know. I don't say that no more. Because there's some stuff that you might ask me that I can't do for you. But I've committed myself to that. And so what if they say, okay, I need you to bring me $500? What you going to say? Then now you done lied to this person when you tried to create grief. Now say if there's anything that you need to do for me, let me know. If there's anything you need to do. Yeah. And let me tell you, some people grieving. Stop, we carry that big greasy bucket of chicken over there. That's good. But can we call them a month later? Mama died, now the real grief kick, because everybody is gone. And so now they on the verge of committing suicide because what was in that bucket of chicken couldn't help them get through that grief. Because they paralyzed. They tried to get through the crowd. The crowd would not open. You know what? They tried to get to their goal, but they was using an ineffective route. Here it is. Some of us cannot get to our goal, not because our goal is not a goal that we should have. Some of us can't get to our goal because the route we're taking is not the right route. Yeah. Put this on the board. Come on. Put it on the board real quick. Radical people aren't afraid to adjust their routes to get to their destiny. What is the definition of insanity? Doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. It's not your goal that's insane. It's your methodology that's insane. The way you go about reaching your goal is insane. We keep praying, God, pie in the sky, give me more money. Give me more money. Give me a job making more money. But we don't want to get the credentials that line up with the request. We want the money without the credentials. Oh, I'm in this house today. If the doctor, this is why I take preaching very seriously. Because if the doctor, my brothers and sisters, they mess up, you might die. But if you save, you still good. If you like hair on your head and the guard come off on the clippers with the barber, the worst thing you can do is have a bald head. If the lawyer mess up on your case, it's going to hurt. The worst you can do is lose a settlement or go to jail. If the dentist mess up on your teeth, I don't know what's the worst on that one. But if the pastor is not walking with God, oh, y'all missed this up here. Is not listening to the voice of God, is not undergoing theological training and business training to make him or her more effective, the consequences for the life of the parishioner is eternal. And I'm afraid there's a lot of pastors leading members the wrong way. They said there's a crowd there. But check this out. Move, verse 4. Look what happened. So they said, all right, cool. Let me change my route. They scoped it out. I can't go that way. I believe one of them went around the corner and said, I can't go that way. I believe another one went around the corner and said, I can't go that way. The fourth one said, well, How tall is that roof? Do you think we can climb up there? Do you think we can get to the top of it? One of them probably said, yeah, we can get to the top of it, but what's going to happen when we get up there? The other one probably said, well, we might have to tear it off. Now listen to this. If that ain't radical, I don't know what is. How many people, if you can't get in the club, you going up on the rooftop from, now I ain't talking about taking the elevator to the rooftop, I'm talking about scaling the building so you get in the club. I use the club because I know ain't nobody going to do that for the church. Amen. I would say the church, but ain't nobody scaling nothing for the church. Oh, I ain't going today. You might have a shot with the club. The Bible says that they removed this, but get this, Elder Love. They removed the roof above him. I promise you, I never saw this in this text, Phil, until last night. I always used to preach this text, Mother Johnson. I used to preach a sermon called Tear the Roof Off. Woo! That's one of my signatures. I'm telling you, boy, I tear the house down with it. That's when I go out, though. Called Tear the Roof. Now I got to change it because I saw something different. Tear the roof off. And I get them riled up. I get the clothes. And, oh, no. And they be shouting and stuff. But they did not tear the roof off. So I got to find a new title. They went to the spot where the target was and took that little piece off. Now, if they tore the whole roof off, not only would they got to their goal, but they would have affected other people in a way that had nothing to do with them. So they went right to a square, rectangle, where Jesus was at, and tore that piece off because they knew where they was trying to go, and they discovered how to get there. I can't get through the crowd, but if I get right on top of them, this thing got to shake. Can I tell you, my brothers and sisters, put this on the screen. Radical people are strategic and disciplined. See, you know I said you got to get uncomfortable. I ain't saying get out of pocket. See, some of us, we get out of pocket. Radical people are strategic and disciplined. Radical people say, if I'm going to make financial moves, I must save what I say I'm going to save. And under all costs, I'm not going to say. And let me tell you something. How many people here saving money? Raise your hand, you saving. Come on, save money. Now, so in order to really effectively save, all your bills got to be paid. Because you can't save somebody else's bill money. Now after I said that, I ain't going to have you raise your hand again. So if you owe bills, you can't be saving. Because you saving other folks' money. If you're not a tither, I know he's all right. No. 10% tither. If you're not a 10% tither, you can't save. Saving comes after I tithe, after I pay my expenses, then I save. Get this now. But if I'm going to be a saver, then I must position my coins in a way where I can save, whatever my coins are. So if my monthly intake is $1,500 a month, I don't know what your monthly intake is, I'm just saying, I cannot have a $350 car note, $400 car note, and a $750 apartment note or house note. I can't have it. Because I'm already at, $1,150, $1,200. $150 goes to the church. I ain't even deal with my bills, gas, food. But we big baller shot callers. You might have to go find something that's one step up from a rat motel. Oh, nobody want to hear this tonight. I didn't say a rat motel because I can't do rats. I'm talking about something nice, clean, and small. Something, I told you when I was in seminary, I had a shotgun apartment. And by shotgun, everything was in the same room. Kitchen, bathroom, toilet, bedroom. I mean, you better not go to the bathroom because everybody going to know you've been in there. So the cat, it was a shotgun. You know how much money I saved by having that shotgun house? Boy, my bank account was growing and growing. I said, I know I can afford something else, but I like what this shotgun doing for me. And also gave me an excuse not to have company. Can't come on, it's too small, too little. Can't entertain you today. But I had to position myself so I could become great because I just went through a divorce. Let me be transparent. Paying child support, alimony, every other kind of money you can think of. That's no knock to my ex-wife. She deserved it. But the point I'm trying to make is I had to lessen what I had so I can become the man I am today. You have to lessen who you are and what you have so you can become greater. You know what type of humility they have to get on top of that rooftop? But guess what? The last verse says, let's move. I'm actually enjoying what I'm doing today. I'm really in my element when I teach like this. I promise you this. Let's read. Let's stand. Let's stand. Let's read this together. And after having dug through it, they let down the mat. So they let down the mat. Can you imagine Jesus in the house teaching or whatever he was doing? The crowd was around him. And all of a sudden the ceiling started. Just think about that right now. Just think if this ceiling, somebody trying to get to me for whatever reason. I hope it's for a good reason because they're going to come in here living, but they're going to leave out dead. I promise you that. We won't be a victim of that church. We'll be the church. Ooh, the pastor killed somebody right while he was preaching. Anyway, if somebody cut this roof open and want to lay down at this altar, boy, that'd be some type of sacrifice. Now, don't none of y'all try that now because our insurance ain't that good. We got the low-end insurance. But they landed him right where he needed to be. They did what? They landed him. Their actions and their behavior change was a representative of their landing. Get this now. Write this down. Last point. Or don't write it down. Just get it or take a picture. Radical people don't rely on people, it should say other people, to land the deal for them. They were radical, so they landed the deal themselves. You can't expect nobody to get your credit together. You know what I mean by that? You going to these people who talk about they credit fixers and you don't know their credentials. The same stuff they doing, you can do it yourself. They ain't doing nothing but disputing stuff. That's all they doing. Land the deal yourself. Get your credit together. Get your relationship life together. Get your spirituality together. Understand how mortgages work. Understand how APRs work. Understand how investments work. Understand that if you decide to quit your job and you're taking money out your 401k, make provisions for the penalty you're going to have to pay. It may be worth it to get to the next level, but you will have to pay a penalty. Understand if you keep lying on your taxes, Uncle Sam will catch up with you when you start making real money. The reason why Uncle Sam ain't after a lot of y'all because you ain't making enough. But when you start making real money, they're going to go all the way back. Church. In my spirit, I felt like hollering today. But I knew this wasn't a hollering lesson. Let us pray. God, we love you.